All right, let's go ahead and get started with 6.5. This is going to be part 2. And again, today should be pretty easy as well. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be going from polar form of a complex number. And basically, we're just going to rewrite it in a different way. So we're going to rewrite it in polar form. And basically what we want to do, and actually what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going back and forth. We're going to be going back and forth between this form and that form. Right? And the two equations that I really need you to kind of focus on is I want you to focus on R and I want you to focus on tangent of theta, at least for objective 3. All right, so let's go ahead and answer the first question. We'll go back to those in just a minute. We're going to write the complex form. So the first thing that they're asking us to do is they're asking us to plot z equals -1 minus I radical 3 in the complex plane. I'm going to create a quick picture of this. On the homework, you're probably not going to be asked to draw it exactly. It's probably going to be more of a multiple choice. But again, this is the real, this is the imaginary. And where would that point be? And I'm not going to be super accurate about it. I'm just going to kind of draw where it's going to be. But let's just say that's -1, which means we're going to go -1 to the left. And then it wants you to go down negative I radical 3, which radical 3 it's about, let me see, it's about 1.7. So I don't know where that is. I'm just going to say that it's somewhere over here. And then that's basically where your graph is going to be. All right. If this was a unit circle, then you would start here. And that's where your angle would be. And the reason we want to do that is because we're going into, we're going to write this in polar form. So we got to know which quadrant we need to be. Because eventually we're going to find theta and we need to know if it's going to be positive or negative. All right. So we know that it's in quadrant 3. So that's perfect. The point doesn't need to be exactly. All right. Continuing. Then it's asking us to do write z in polar form. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. So in order for us to do that, the first thing that we need to find is R. We need to find the radius. All right. And the reason you want that, it's because we're trying to find this little piece and we're trying to find those angles. So we can just plug them in. All right. So R is going to be the square root of a squared plus b squared. Well, that's a, which is -1, plus b, which is also -1. Well, actually, no, not -1, sorry. It's negative radical 3 without the I. Okay, make sure, just like I said before, do not include the I. So negative radical 3 square. All right. Once you simplify this, which you should be able to simplify this by hand, that's just 1. Plus, well, that's going to turn into a negative. And remember, every time you square a square root, it just kind of goes away. So you're left with the square root of 1 plus 3 or 4, which is just 2. So we know what R is going to equal to. Then we got to find tangent. Well, tangent of theta is equal to B divided by A. Well, in this case, B is negative radical 3 divided by A, which is just -1. If we simplify this, this is just radical 3. All right. Well, the question is, what should theta be so you get tangent theta equaling radical 3? Well, given the unit circle, tangent is going to be positive on quadrant 1 and quadrant 3. But again, we want quadrant 3 because we already know that that's where the angle is going to be. Well, tangent of what gives you radical 3? Well, where do we get radical 3? Well, that would be about here at pi over 3. So all you got to do is find the point across that value and just kind of go from there. Well, remember, radical 3 splits the pizza into 3 pieces, so that would be 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 pieces, which means this would be 4 pi over 3. So that's our theta value. Once you have all of that information, and I'm gonna make a quick pause here, just in case you're writing or trying to comprehend what we just did. But once that's done, then you can go ahead and bring the equation down. So z equals r cosine of theta plus I sine of theta. And at that point, all you really need to do is plug in the values that you just found. So z is gonna equal to r, which we know it's 2, times cosine of theta, which we know theta is 4 pi over 3, plus I times sine of theta, which we know it's 4 pi over 3. And then that should be your answer. All right, now whenever you're ready, go ahead and turn the page over. This one, what we're gonna do is, again, we're gonna write the complex number from polar to rectangular. And this is actually much, much easier because really all you gotta do is simplify it. So we have z is equal to 4 times cosine of 30 degrees plus I sine of 30 degrees. Again, if you wanna go from polar to rectangular, all you gotta do is simplify. That's it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna simplify this. This is gonna be z is equal to 4 times, well, what is cosine of 30? Well, cosine of 30 is actually just radical 3 over 2. Right? Remember your unit circle, first quadrant, plus sine of 30 is just 1/2. Now, don't forget the I. So we're gonna have 1/2 I. And then once you do that, then you got one last step, which is just to distribute the 4. So z is gonna equal to, well, if you multiply this by 4, this is gonna be 2 radical 3. You guys can do the math there, okay? And then if you multiply this by 4, well, that's gonna be 2i. And again, you guys can kind of do the math for that. And that's it. That is your rectangular form. All right, that's all I got for you guys. Good luck on the homework.